Sunday night. Vancouver, Canada. One of the most emotional moments in Egyptian football history. Mohamed Salah, the Liverpool legend, the Egyptian king, scores. His team comes from behind. They win 3-1. It is Egypt's first ever victory at a FIFA World Cup, their fourth appearance in the tournament. They have been waiting for this moment since 1934. The players celebrate. The fans celebrate. The whole country celebrates. And then the Egyptian Football Federation releases a statement. Not to celebrate the win. Not to look forward to the next match. To inform the world that the United States government has just denied their request to travel directly to the city where that next match will be played. Not Iran this time. Not a team at war with the United States. Egypt. A country with a long-standing relationship with Washington. A country whose players compete in England, Spain, Germany, and France. A country that came to this World Cup with nothing but football on their minds. And even they could not escape the travel chaos that has been defining this tournament. The story is straightforward and infuriating in its simplicity. Egypt played their second group game on Sunday, June 22nd, against New Zealand in Vancouver, Canada. Their third and final group game is on Friday, June 26th, against Iran at Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington, just across the U.S. border, a short flight south. After securing their first ever FIFA World Cup victory on Sunday against New Zealand in Vancouver, the Egyptian squad had intended to fly their key players straight to Seattle for the next match as part of their preparations. A direct flight from Vancouver to Seattle takes roughly 45 minutes. For any team anywhere in the world at any tournament, that would be completely unremarkable. You win a match. You get on a plane. You go to the city where you play next. You settle in. You prepare. However, the request was rejected by officials, forcing the team to adjust its travel plans ahead of the crucial encounter. Rejected. No explanation offered publicly. Just no. The security authorities refused the team's request to stay in the city of Seattle as planned after the New Zealand match in the World Cup, and therefore the team's delegation will return to the city of Spokane, Egypt's Federation spokesman Hassam said in an official statement. Spokane. Egypt's training base is at Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington, about 280 miles east of Seattle. 280 miles. Instead of flying 45 minutes south to their match city, Egypt must travel 280 miles east to their training base, and then make the return journey to Seattle before Friday's kickoff. The decision to deny the Egyptians the ability to fly directly into Seattle will impact their preparation for Saturday's match, which will ironically see them take on Iran at Seattle Stadium. The irony is impossible to miss. Egypt and Iran, playing each other in Seattle, are both dealing with U.S. travel restrictions. Different reasons, different scales, but the same tournament, the same city, and the same American government deciding when and how both teams can get there. Because before going any deeper into what happened to Egypt, the Iran comparison needs to be told in full. Because what Iran has been dealing with at this World Cup makes Egypt's disruption look, relatively speaking, like a minor inconvenience. And understanding both situations together is the only way to see the full picture of what this World Cup is doing to the teams playing Group G. Iran's situation at this World Cup has been documented and discussed extensively. But it bears repeating in this context, because the Egypt story only makes sense against that backdrop. Despite playing all of their group games in the U.S., Iran have already been forced to train in Tijuana, Mexico, after players and staff were denied permission to remain in the country. Their original training base in Tucson, Arizona was scrapped before the tournament even began. Over a dozen support staff members were denied U.S. visas entirely. Coaches, analysts, administrative officials, gone. As a result, the Iranian delegation has had to make matchday trips to Los Angeles for their games against New Zealand and Belgium, before immediately returning to Mexico after the final whistle. Every match. Arrive. Play. Leave that night. Cross the border. Recover in Tijuana. Come back for the next one. Iran were even forced to abandon a training session halfway through its duration after being ordered to leave by authorities. Abandoned mid-session. Players in training kit, mid-drill, told to stop and go. The kind of disruption that, at any level of professional sport, is completely unacceptable. At a World Cup, it is extraordinary. They have launched an official complaint over the situation. Iran's head coach Amir Galanoui has been consistent and measured in his public statements, but the weight of his words has never been less than devastating. "These constraints have made it very difficult for us," he has said. He called his team the most oppressed at the World Cup. He described a situation where decision-making for his squad was being done elsewhere, not by the coaching staff, not by the federation, but by authorities he had no control over. Iran played 2 matches under these conditions. They drew both, 2 points from 2 games, against New Zealand and Belgium, preparing across an international border, arriving the day before and leaving the same night. And now, the team they face in their final group game, the team that could knock them out or send them through, has just been told they cannot travel directly to the stadium city either. Here is why all of this matters beyond the politics and the logistics. Because Egypt versus Iran on Friday is not just a group stage match. For both teams, it is potentially the biggest game in their recent football history. And both of them are arriving at it under travel conditions no other team at this World Cup faces. Let's look at exactly what is at stake. Egypt moved to the top of the standings in Group G with the win, but was not yet assured a spot in the knockout round. The Pharaohs will play a deciding game against Iran on Friday in Seattle, needing at least a draw to advance. For points, top of the group, Egypt, who have not been to a World Cup since the 2018 tournament in Russia and lost all 3 games that year, are sitting first in Group G with a chance to qualify for the round of 16 with a result on Friday. Egypt is making its 4th World Cup appearance after missing the field in Qatar 4 years ago. Salah scored a pair of goals in the 2018 World Cup in Russia. He is now 1 goal away from equaling the Egyptian national team's all-time scoring record, a record held by his own coach, Hossam Hassan. Egypt haven't quite faced the same treatment as Iran, but having to alter their travel plans at such a late stage is far from ideal ahead of the biggest match in the country's history. The biggest match in the country's history. And they are spending the days before it at Gonzaga University in Spokane, 280 miles from where they need to be, because a request to stay in Seattle was refused without public explanation. For Iran, the stakes are equally enormous. Both Belgium and Iran are poised behind Egypt on 2 points each. A win for Iran would put them through. A draw, depending on the Belgium-New Zealand result happening simultaneously, could also be enough. Iran's entire World Cup, their participation in a tournament they nearly could not attend, the travel disruptions, the border crossings, the abandoned training sessions, the formal FIFA complaint, could culminate in a single result on Friday evening at Lumen Field. The 2 teams have faced each other twice in their history, most recently in the 2024 FIFA series, which Egypt won 1-0. One previous meeting, Egypt won. On Friday in Seattle, the rematch carries everything. Pull back from the Egypt-Iran story for a moment and look at the full picture of what this World Cup has produced in terms of travel controversy. Iran, forced to train in Mexico, cross the border per match, abandon sessions, file a formal complaint with FIFA. Egypt, denied permission to fly directly to their match city after winning for the first time in World Cup history. Thomas Partey, blocked from entering Canada for Ghana's opener, his government filing diplomatic protests and exploring legal action. The Somali referee denied entry to the United States entirely despite a valid visa and FIFA accreditation. Scotland and Morocco fans. ESTA travel authorizations revoked without explanation days before they were due to travel. Palestinian Football Association president denied a U.S. visa to attend the tournament. This is not a list of unrelated incidents. It is a pattern. A World Cup hosted across 3 nations, one of which has some of the most restrictive immigration and security policies on Earth, is producing travel disruptions that are affecting players, officials, referees, and fans from multiple countries, at a scale that has no precedent in the tournament's history. The 2026 World Cup continues to be blighted by travel complications after another nation was forced to alter their plans by officials in the USA. The White House FIFA task force has said the situation is dynamic. Andrew Giuliani has said the U.S. is happy with the way things went. FIFA has said it cannot override host government decisions. Meanwhile, teams are preparing for World Cup matches from training bases hundreds of miles away from the stadiums. Coaches are doing jobs meant for 5 people. Players are crossing borders to recover from games. And tournament organizers are watching another controversy land in their inbox before the group stage has even finished. Egypt versus Iran. Friday. Lumen Field, Seattle. Egypt, traveling from Spokane. Iran, traveling from Tijuana. 2 teams, 2 countries, 2 sets of travel restrictions. One match that could define both of their World Cups. The football, when the whistle blows, will be completely indifferent to everything that happened before it. Mohamed Salah will still be 1 goal from a national record. Mehdi Taremi will still be leading Iran's attack. And 60,000 people in Seattle will watch 2 teams who arrived under conditions that no other team at this tournament has had to endure. Whether they get a fair shot at the knockout rounds, after all of it, is what Friday evening will decide. Stay subscribed for complete coverage of the 2026 World Cup.